Hello everyone, I am Bharat Goel and today I'll be representing my project Figit for deliverable 1 for SER515 course. So Figit is an GitHub Analyzer app that can analyze the contributions done by all the contributors on a GitHub projects graphically. So we'll be dive into the project and see how it works and how it is going to do that. So I worked as designer in the sprint one and all of my work usually contained designing the applications. So for designing, I started working with wireframes first. So we developed some wireframes using Balsamic. So here you can see some wireframes. So these wireframes represent the main outline how the project will go. You can see header over here and the box for entering your email and getting started. And you can see all the pages over here, different pages to the dashboard. After that, I finalized this design into Adobe XD, which shows the actual real graphics of the project, how the project will look. So you can see that here are all of my tasks, which creating graphical background and designing the initial graphic UI and doing all the UI stuff for all the application. So I'll show you how it is there on Adobe XD. So you can see I created designed the initial graphics UI for the landing page, and as you can see here there is a initial graphic design. So it shows the landing page with header and stuff, and here you can put your email ID, and here you can just click this button to get on the second page. So I'll show you the prototype how it works. So here is the prototype. As you can see, we have made this prototype, and when I click on get started, it goes to the second sign up page where you can sign up using GitHub or Google, or you can just sign up with the details. Also, if you want to sign in, you can sign in. Once you sign in, you would get here to the adding some repositories. So here you can paste your GitHub link, and just if you want to add another GitHub link, you can just put it over here, and there will another box will come for adding another GitHub link. So you can see that you can even delete it from here like that, or just add another and go to dashboard from here. So this is basically our dashboard. So it shows the profile of the user using and all the projects he or she has added. Here it shows all the contributors that have contributed in the project. Here it shows some graphical representation, and here it shows some of the statistics of commits, lines of codes, and branches. Here you can use this button to change the chart that you want. Maybe you want to see in a pie chart, or you want to see some of the bar graphs. Also, we have made some help and about page. So help page will be helping you in the some of the questions, some FAQs for the project, and about page will be showing the team. So here is the team who have made this project. Also the Figit. So basically this is Figit which will do all the work over here. So designs are completed by here. So I also make graphical background for this, which you can see over here like this. So also the using Adobe XD give all the colors which are used in the application, and all the fonts which are used in the application with their sizes and dimensions. So front-end designers can click and see what designs are over there and see the dimensions to make their front end. And so this is it what I did.
The first user story is the landing page. There are related tasks to the user story one. One of the tasks is create header with logo and about and help page link. The second task related to user story one is to create space and heading the taglines. The another task related to user story one is create a form taking email ID in text box and submitting it. The output for this is here. I have embodied the header and the space and heading part in this file, and here is the text box which takes the email as input, and here is the button which is used to submit, and here is the sign in link. If user is already registered, then he or she can simply sign in, and if I do not write anything and just submit the button, then I'll get the validation that please enter your email ID first. User story 4 is about us page. There are related tasks to this. One of the tasks is development of required user interface. Here I have embodied the header and then created the space for headline, the content, and for again the headline, and created table and padded boxes for the photos. The other related task to user story 4 is insertion of required information on the web page, like the content I have written in the about us, and the photos I have attached uh, with the web page. User story 5 is help page, and there are some related tasks to user story 5. One of the tasks uh, is the development of required user interface. Here is the output. I have embodied the header and the space and heading for the help page. Also, I have used a class of Bootstrap which is called Jumbotron, and I have created space for questions and FAQs. User story 6 is adding GitHub repository. There are some related tasks to it. One of the tasks is development of required user interface. Here is the output. I have embodied the header and the uh, spacing in the web page. Here is the text box and the button, add button. I can add as many repositories I want to add and delete if I don't want it anymore. Here is the button. Now if I click the button without adding or pasting a link, then it will generate a warning message. Please enter your GitHub link first.
And one of the ways to enter into the application is the sign up functionality. So I worked on developing the user interface of the sign up page. Let me give you a demo of the sign up page. Now the sign up page consists of a header with the logo of the project on the left and the help and about links on the right. The main components of the sign up page are these buttons and the sign up form, which is on the right. The sign in with GitHub button will allow the user to sign in with a valid GitHub account ID, and once he clicks on this button, he will be redirected to the authentication page of the GitHub. Similar functionality has been implemented for the sign in with Google button. Now this sign up form will allow the user to enter a valid email ID in the email text box. In the password text box, he can enter his password. In the choose password text box, user will be desired to enter the password again. The passwords are being protected so that the password is not visible on the screen. A JavaScript is running behind to check that the password entered in the password text box and the confirm password text box is the same. So when the user will click on the get in button, the application will allow the user to sign up successfully. So I worked on developing the user interface of the login page. Let me give you a demo of the sign in page. So the sign in page is similar to that of the sign up page. It has the two buttons, the sign in with Google and sign in with GitHub buttons, and these buttons will allow the user to sign in with their account ID registered in either GitHub or Google account. The sign in form, which is on the right, helps the user to sign in with a registered email ID and password. So when the user enters his registered email ID and password, on clicking on the button, a validation rule will run which will check whether his email ID and passwords are valid or not. Based on the validation, user will be able to log in successfully. The help page consists of the frequently asked questions which will help the user to assist related to the functionalities of the help page. So the documentation or the data collected by me will be embedded on the help page, which is designed by my teammate. Project dashboard page will demonstrate the project analysis of the selected project. So currently we have developed the skeleton of that page in this sprint, and we'll be showing some of the functionalities on the page. The project dashboard page has the header on it with the logo on its left and the help and about with the settings option on the right, It has a left navigation panel which will show me the current signed person. Currently it's just showing the dummy data. Just below the details of the signed person, there will be the list of projects which are selected by the user from the add repository page. The user will select one of the project from the list. The corresponding analysis will be displayed at the center. Currently a line chart is being displayed, so when I hover over these line chart bars, it will show me the lines of code which are created by particular team member and the number of commits made per sprint by each team member. If I want to change the type of chart, I can just go to the chart drop down and select the type of chart. So the chart type will be changed. Just below the chart visualization, there are flashcards for each team member. Currently I have shown 3 flashcards for this project. The flashcard will contain information like the last commit made by that team member, or the lines of code created, the last branch created, etc. So the basic skeleton for the project dashboard page is created with the project repository list on the left and the data visualization charts at the center, and further refinement of the project dashboard page will be made in the upcoming sprint. I have worked on the development of user interface for the pie chart, which will be a part of the project dashboard page, and I have used Google Charts for its implementation. Let me give you a demo of the pie chart. So the pie chart shown here gives the team commit summary, that is the number of commits made by each team member within a sprint. When I hover to any of the sector of the pie chart, it will give me the number of commits made by each team member and the percentage of work done by each person.
Sir, I'm Shafari Anand, and this is the user story login page. For this, I was assigned this task: develop API to support user login. Now, for developing API, we used Python's Django REST framework. I'll simply run this. Now, to support the login functionality, we have created a table in the database user account application users with these fields, and this is the data which is stored here right now. Now, for supporting login, we have created the API, and we'll send this HTTP post request to the API, and we'll check if this data exists over there or not to see if we can do the login. Now, as you can see, user not found, unsuccessful sign in, because this email ID, application username and password doesn't match with the data we have here. Now, for login, we also have to do authentication, and for login authentication, we'll do that in the next sprint. Thank you. The user story adding GitHub repository, and for this, I was assigned this task to develop API to support repository addition. And for developing API, we have used Django REST framework. I'll simply run this. And for adding repository, we have this table in the database. As you can see, this user has these 3 repositories, and this user has this 2 repository. Now, to add the repository into this table, we'll simply send an HTTP post request with this data. So I'll simply send this request. Now, this data will be added to our database, and for this we had another task. So this was our task, adding repository to the database. So let's see if that data which we sent has been added to the database. So I'll refresh it, and as you can see, this is the data which is added to the database. So this is a user story dashboard repository list, and I was assigned this task to get repository from the database, and this is our database which has this table dashboard user repositories, and this is our data. So this user has 3 repositories, and this user has 3 repositories. So we need to get this data, and for that, to get this data, I've also developed an API. So I was assigned this task to develop API to view repository list, And for developing API, we have used Django REST framework. I'll just run this, and we have to get this request. So I have developed HTTP GET request, and I'll just request this, and this is the data which we have got. So as you can see, this data matches with the data which we have in our table. So that's how we'll get the repository list from the database to the API, and this API will further send the data to the front side.
In the sprint one, we have taken a task to create the database for user sign up. In this, like as you can see, user will create a new user ID with his email ID and password, and in terms of backend we will save this email ID and password with us, so that next time the user can use it for login to this our application. So if we go to Google Chrome, this is our backend for sign up page. And then when we open Postman, like we have, if we return, if we add the values like email and user give user ID and the password, and then it sends, then a new user is created in the database. And if we have used SQLite 3 for our database, and if we refresh it, I can see this new entry. So in this also, like if if one already existing user wants to try it, then like it will give the error message that application users with this email ID is already existing. And the front end.
So as you know, the user needs to add different GitHub repositories, which needs to be validated whether they are accessible by our application or not. To do that, I worked on the Python part of the backend, and we have developed an API whose task you can see here. And the API needs to validate whether the given repository is a valid GitHub repository or not. So to show a sample run, here I'm passing it a invalid GitHub repository, and my function in the API returns me a true or false value, which I can directly use in an if else to show that whether the repository is valid or not. So here is a positive test case where I'm running it with a valid accessible repository, and I get a valid repository out.
So in the end, we you can see our sprint backlog. So this is a Tiger board for our sprint backlog, and it shows the 40 points are closed from 53 points. So this dashboard pie chart is only left with developing the API. So only one task was left here after the sprint, which we will complete in next sprint. As far as the value is concerned, we have created a good value for the product. We have made the prototype of the product in the front end, so if there is customer behind it, he can easily understand that what we are making over here and what is gonna come in upcoming sprints. In next sprints, we plan to work more on dashboard and make it more interactive and stuff.